Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your expenses? You're not alone. A shocking 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, according to a recent report by the Federal Reserve. It's easy to feel trapped in a cycle of spending, but it doesn't have to be this way. What if I told you that living frugally can actually lead to more freedom, joy, and financial security? Many people think frugality means living a boring life full of restrictions. But that's a myth. In reality, frugal living is about making smarter choices that align with your values. It's about enjoying life more while spending less. For instance, did you know that the average American household has around $8,000 in credit card debt? That's a heavy burden that frugality can help lift. In this guide, we'll explore why most people struggle with frugal living and, more importantly, how you can succeed. You'll discover unique strategies to change your mindset, avoid lifestyle inflation, and build habits that make saving easier. By the end, you'll see frugality not as a limitation, but as a powerful tool for a richer life. So, are you ready to take control of your finances and find joy in simplicity? Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The Mindset Trap. Why frugality feels impossible. Most people think frugality is about restricting yourself. That's where the problem begins. The moment you start thinking about it as less, your brain associates it with sacrifice. And no one likes to feel deprived, right? But what if you could flip the script? Frugality, when done right, can actually feel empowering. In his book The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel writes, "The hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving." This means that we constantly want more, even when we don't need it. To succeed at living frugally, you need to redefine what enough means for you. Here's a shocking fact. A study from Princeton University found that once a person earns around $75,000 per year, their happiness plateaus. So, all those extra purchases? They aren't bringing you more joy. The first strategy is to stop tying happiness to things and start focusing on experiences or goals that bring long-term fulfillment. Actionable tip. Create a list of non-material things that make you happy. Whether it's a walk in the park, time with friends, or reading a book, make these your go-to sources of fulfillment. Over time, this will help rewire your brain to see frugality as a path to more happiness, not less. Chapter 2. Lifestyle inflation. The silent killer of savings. Lifestyle inflation is sneaky. You get a raise, and suddenly, you're upgrading your car, eating out more often, or moving into a bigger apartment. The problem is that as your income increases, so do your expenses, and your savings barely move. This is why so many people, regardless of how much they earn, still feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck. According to a 2022 survey by Bankrate, over 50% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency expense with savings. The root cause? Lifestyle inflation. Every time you raise your standard of living, you're essentially pushing your financial freedom further out of reach. To avoid this trap, try practicing value-based spending. This means you only spend more on things that truly add value to your life, not just because you have more income. For example, spending on a gym membership because fitness improves your quality of life is a value-based decision. Buying a luxury watch just because you got a raise? Probably not. Actionable tip. After your next paycheck, save at least 50% of any raise you receive. You'll grow your savings without feeling like you're depriving yourself. This simple habit keeps lifestyle inflation in check and helps you achieve long-term financial stability. Chapter 3. The sneaky power of micro-habits, small changes, big wins. One of the biggest misconceptions about frugality is that it requires massive lifestyle changes. People think they need to go from splurging to penny pinching overnight. But frugality is more about small, sustainable habits that build up over time. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, says, "Small habits don't add up. They compound." That's the secret to frugal success: tiny, consistent actions that lead to big results. Let's look at a simple example: brewing your coffee at home instead of grabbing one from a cafe. It might seem small, but doing this saves the average American around $1,200 a year, according to Acorns. It's not about giving up coffee altogether, it's about being smart with your habits. Now, imagine applying this to other areas of your life. Maybe you cut your streaming services down to just one or start meal prepping instead of eating out. These tiny shifts don't feel drastic, but the long-term savings are huge. Actionable tip. Choose one spending habit to change this month. Focus on something small, like making your lunch a couple of days a week. Stick to it for 30 days and track how much you save. Once you see the results, you'll be motivated to tackle another micro habit. If you're enjoying these tips, be sure to subscribe for more insights on how to achieve a frugal and fulfilling life. Chapter 4. Conscious Consumption, the art of saying no in today's world. We're bombarded with choices, ads telling us to upgrade, social media showing us new things to buy. But frugality isn't just about avoiding purchases. It's about making intentional decisions about what really matters to you. This is what I call conscious consumption, learning to say no to what doesn't align with your values. Author Kate Flanders, in her book The Year of Less, shares a powerful thought: consumption isn't the problem. Compulsive consumption is. We often buy things on impulse, not because we need them, but because we want a quick hit of pleasure. Over time, this leads to clutter, stress, and financial strain. Here's a fact that might surprise you. According to research from the U.S. Department of Energy, the average American home has 300,000 items. All these things take up space, not just physically, but mentally. Cutting back on unnecessary purchases can declutter your finances and your mind. Actionable tip. Next time you want to buy something, follow the 30-day rule. If you still want it after 30 days, then consider purchasing it. More often than not, you'll realize you didn't need it in the first place. Chapter 5. Frugality as a social superpower, redefining peer pressure. Frugality doesn't exist in a vacuum. Our spending habits are influenced by the people around us. We go out to fancy dinners, buy gifts we can't afford, or upgrade our gadgets because we want to fit in. But what if you could flip that script and make frugality your social superpower? Think about it. When you choose frugality, you're not just saving money, you're showing others a new way to live. Financial expert Ramit Sethi mentions in I Will Teach You to Be Rich, spending extravagantly on the things you love, and cutting costs mercilessly on the things you don't, is the true definition of a rich life. What if you shared this mindset with your friends? It might surprise you how many people admire your restraint and want to join in. Here's an interesting statistic. A 2019 survey by Credit Karma found that 39% of millennials overspend on social events to keep up with friends. But leading by example can shift the dynamic. When you start living frugally, you can inspire your circle to think twice about their own spending. Actionable tip. Be open about your frugal choices with friends and family. Suggest budget-friendly activities like potlucks or hikes instead of expensive nights out. Over time, you'll create a social circle that values experiences over things. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to subscribe. Join our community for more tips on living a fulfilling and financially savvy life.